Many theories coming out as to what is next because of Phil Spencer's shelf. Kingdom Hearts 4 has been announced. We have a really cool new Sonic Xbox controller. Blizzard has finally updated Diablo 3, which I think a lot of people will be happy about. And Xbox, are they working on a new chip? So Phil Spencer's shelf has been the topic of discussion every single time he does an interview, and you see what is on the background, what's on his shelf. He's always changing things up. People are always theorizing and trying to come up with conclusions as to what could this mean. And this pretty much all started back when in his office he was on the screen and he had a Xbox Series S tucked away in the background way before they announced the Xbox Series S. And people realized this after the official announcement of the Series S, that it was hiding there in plain sight, and he must have known it was there. He also knew that nobody would know what it was. You wouldn't really even be able to tell, but it's something that has kept people coming back to look at his shelf. We've seen countless arguments, countless theories from multiple different games. We saw the Kojima Productions thing when he had the statue of the actual mascot for Kojima Productions on his background. We've seen the Nintendo Switch there. People thought that meant there was going to be something going on with the Nintendo Switch, maybe Xbox Game Pass going on to the platform. We've seen the skull with like the crown on top of it from Watch Dogs. We have people theorizing that maybe this meant the Ubisoft Plus was coming over to Xbox. Lots of different things, and we have a new picture of Phil's shelf, and this time the big thing here is the sword in the background. As you can see it here, just above the Xbox Elite Series 2 Halo Edition controller, having people now theorize that Phil Spencer, Xbox, are going to be doing something with Elden Ring and maybe From Software. Now, this is obviously just an absolutely crazy rumor. There is no weight to this in any way, but it's just fun and hilarious to look at all the theories and people kind of connecting all these weird dots together. In terms of From Software specifically, they've been in, I guess, the rumor mill for a couple of weeks now, where people were thinking that PlayStation was going to come out and purchase From Software. Now, when it comes to From Software specifically, I don't think that purchasing From Software right now makes any sense for any company out there, mainly because of how successful Elden Ring is. They're pretty much at the top, at the pinnacle. They would be selling at the highest amount that you could conceivably think of because of how successful Elden Ring is. Probably one of the most successful video games of all time. And now would be probably just a bad business move for anybody to try to go out there and acquire them, in the sense that you're just going to be spending the most amount of money on them, where you kind of missed the boat. From Software, if somebody was going to buy them, probably should have been bought a couple of years ago. It was popular a couple of years ago, but nowhere near as prominent as it is now after Elden Ring. You've seen people who have never touched a From game fall in love with Elden Ring. It was their first foray into it, and now are most likely going to be picking up and playing every single From Software game going forward. But like I said, this is just a rumor, but that sword in the background has gotten people talking, and we go through the comments. You can see people theorizing, zooming in on pictures, asking what they are. This person says, y'all theorize and draw connections harder than Marvel fans. And honestly, with Phil's shelf, the theories are just crazy. You haven't seen the P's side of the theories. It's much worse than this. Can you imagine him acquiring From Software? That would be hilarious. Ponies would be leaping off of buildings. And I think that's a reference to basically what people have been talking about with the acquisition of From Software and PlayStation over the last couple of weeks. If you remember back with Bethesda and Starfield, there was always those talks that PlayStation was in talks with Bethesda to get Starfield exclusive to PlayStation. Maybe they were going to purchase Bethesda or something along those lines. And then out of nowhere, we see Xbox step in, spend the $7.5 billion and purchase everything, get all of the IPs, as well as make Starfield an Xbox ecosystem exclusive. This person here says, people sometimes forget to realize Phil is a gamer himself and he can just put gaming stuff there. I mean, there was a Watch Dogs Legion mask as well for for a long time and nothing happened about it. And yeah, there you have it. I mean, Phil Spencer is just a gamer. He's just putting random stuff there. The likelihood that any of this actually is connected to anything that Xbox is going to do is probably around maybe 0.0001%, because in reality, the only thing we've seen so far, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was that Series S, which he had tucked away in his bookshelf, that nobody would have had any idea what that was before the announcement. And now people are talking about it because it was right there in plain sight. Now, did he do that on purpose? You don't know. Maybe he just had it there and just forgot about it when he was going on camera. This person here says Ubi Play subscription service to Xbox this year. A lot of people have been talking about Ubisoft, and it is because of this announcement that we got back in January that Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox consoles in the future, which is their service where you could subscribe and get access to all the Ubisoft games. And I believe we saw a similar thing like this with EA Play before it actually entered into Xbox Game Pass. So maybe they're putting it on there to test out whether this is something that is going to be profitable for them going forward. And then, hey, maybe they join up with Xbox Game Pass and just add to the overall value of the service, even if that means adding a tier where it's a bit more expensive than we have right now, but you're going to get access to all of the Ubisoft games as well. I could see that potentially happening. Will it happen? We don't know. But I think for a lot of people, paying a little bit extra to get access to this plus all the Ubisoft games is going to be something that they would want to do. Person here says, while acquisition seems far off and exclusive might not be out of question, FromSoft have been making games for multiple publishers like Sony, Namco, Activision, so Microsoft may not be out of possibility, which is something that when you think about From Software, I think initially a lot of people connect them to PlayStation with Bloodborne and them putting their games exclusively on that platform. But it is true, From Software has made a bunch of games that have been published by various different publishers. You even think of recently with Sekiro, it was published by Activision, and Xbox is going to be owning Activision very soon, so you never know, that relationship may come back up. We have this person here saying buying From Software would be too difficult for either Microsoft or Sony. Not the amount, but From Software is owned by Kadokawa, who has investments from Bandai, Tencent, and Sony. It's a spider web at this point. I mean, that's true. It is Kadokawa who have all those investments. You think of From Software, a lot of people, I think of them as an individual developer, but they are owned by this much bigger corporation. So all in all, it's just always hilarious to see what's going on with Phil Shelf, and if any of this means anything as to what Xbox is going to be doing in the future. Like I said, probably almost no chance it means that anything is happening from Xbox, From Software, or anything along those lines with anything else he has on the back of his shelf. But always funny to see the wall of theories, people trying to connect the dots as to what it could mean. So we're getting another officially licensed special edition controller from Razer, but this time it has to do with Sonic. And I think this is a very cool looking controller. You can see here from the pictures. I actually love this controller. Maybe one day I will pick it up. I like Sonic. I like Sega, so having this type of special edition controller is definitely something right up my alley. But it looks, I think, very good, and it comes with that rechargeable battery pack and the charging stand from Razer. I mean, that's what sets it apart with these special edition ones that are done by Razer and officially licensed by Xbox. And this isn't the first time Razer has done stuff like this. They've actually done multiple different ones with Star Wars, specifically Mandalorian, a Darth Vader edition, which looked really cool as well. So it will be retailing for $199. You can go ahead onto the Razer website, and right now it is out of stock, but you can sign up for the notifications in case it does come back into stock. I'm sure it will. We've seen other ones such as the Mandalorian one here come back into stock, and actually this one was only $179, so it may eventually even be lower in price. But there you go. If you want to pick it up, make sure to go ahead and hit that notification. Now, what's funny and interesting about this is that people have always been talking about Sega and Xbox, and is Xbox going to buy Sega, all this type of stuff. Now, I don't think they actually will, but what we're seeing right now is they're continuing to bolster their relationship with Sonic, with Sega, and just put out more products that they work together to create with the different licensing. If you remember this year, they had actually put out this limited edition Xbox Series S with these fuzzy controllers, and I actually think the Series S itself looks really cool with the gold ring around the vent, and then you got Sonic and Knuckles on there. It's a limited edition. You have to actually go through the contest on Twitter to get it, but it's further showing that great relationship that Sega and Microsoft have, and it putting out these types of products, these types of limited edition stuff on Xbox, I think is great. We also know about the strategic alliance with Sega with using the cloud and all of that type of stuff. It's more relationship building between Sega and Xbox. And hopefully this just leads to more advantages and values to the Xbox ecosystem, getting more things like this, as well as hopefully getting more games onto Xbox Game Pass. I think it is a sign of the strong relationship between Sega and Microsoft. All right, jumping over here to something I just wanted to quickly mention in case anybody out there is still playing Diablo 3 right now, and I've been waiting for this patch, and it has to do with the Series X and S finally now being able to run at true resolution. So the Series X running at true 4K and the Xbox Series S running at true 1080p. I think that is a very welcomed addition that people have been waiting for. It's been a long time coming, as I believe currently right now, before this patch came out, they were running the older versions, like the Xbox One versions of the game, on the systems that obviously can be running Diablo 3 at much higher frame rates and with better performance overall. So people seem to be relatively happy about this, and that it's finally here. As this person asked, has the patch released already? As the link states, April 12th. So it will be here tomorrow in case anybody is looking for it right now after they watch this video. It will be out on Tuesday. So Diablo 3 will appear as a Series X and S optimized now on the 12th. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen. You'll probably get that badge. If not, just be aware if you do download that patch, you will be getting those higher resolution. So we're saying this, thank God, and thank you for the heads up, which I think a lot of people are probably feeling that with Diablo. Yay, what about HDR? And then overall, people are just excited to see that Diablo 3 is currently and finally getting that update that I think has, again, been a long time coming for a game that was having issues in terms of how it was running. It was having kind of an annoying feel to it based off of a game that should have easily been running at 4K and 1080p on the Series X and Series S previously. So we got a very exciting announcement yesterday. I'm really excited to see everything about this game, and it is Kingdom Hearts 4. Now, I'll be honest, I have absolutely no idea what's going on in the story of Kingdom Hearts, but I don't think a lot of people do. It's a very convoluted, weird story, but I've absolutely loved the gameplay of this series. Really enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3, beat it, and then Kingdom Hearts 2 and 1, played a bunch of that back in the day, and it really just grabbed me because of all the different characters and stuff that were within the game. Now, we got this official announcement for Kingdom Hearts 4, and I think the game looks absolutely stunning, a lot more realistic and I guess more mature in a way based off of the setting that the game is in. As you can see right now, this is in a big city and the graphics look absolutely stunning. And it's just an exciting announcement for anybody who has been waiting for another Kingdom Hearts game. And honestly, I mean, I wasn't expecting this because Kingdom Hearts 3 came out in 2019 and it was a long time between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3, but we're already getting into Kingdom Hearts 4 here. And like I said, taking a look at this, I think the game looks absolutely amazing. And what else is interesting is the fact that this was a game that was on, if you remember that NVIDIA GeForce Now leak, it was one of the Square Enix games that was leaked to be coming out. And as we know now, it's been announced, so that part of the leak is true, which makes people start to ask questions about are other Square Enix games in that leak going to be coming true, such as Final Fantasy IX Remake, which was a part of that leak. And it also gets people thinking about a trademark that Square Enix has filed for Final Fantasy Tactics Ogre Reborn. They filed this in Japan. This is for Final Fantasy Tactics, which I think is more of like a cult classic style of game. A lot of people love it. A lot of people have played it and love it, but it's not as popular, obviously, as the mainline Final Fantasy games. It's a tactical RPG style. I played it way back on the PSP. I don't think I ever completed it, but I remember diving into it and enjoying what I played. So it'll be really cool to see if they ever do remake that game, and definitely a game that I will be checking out. And then Final Fantasy IX Remake, I mean, it'll be along the lines of Final Fantasy VII, I would assume, and just kind of redoing everything and giving us a brand new game. Now, the only thing I hope with all of these Square Enix games is that they release them on Xbox, because we know there's stuff with the Final Fantasy game that is just so annoying. Final Fantasy VII Remake still not out on Xbox for whatever reason. Final Fantasy 16, a timed exclusive on PlayStation 5. And if they do release these remakes of further Final Fantasy games, I hope that they are a multi-platform release across everywhere so everybody will be able to play them. And finally, we have this. There's been all of this talk over the last week or so about chip priority and Xbox's business move in order to get more chips from AMD, to get more consoles out there. And that business move has paid dividends for them, as they are ahead currently in 2022 in overall hardware console sales over the PlayStation 5, which if you base the numbers off of 2021, you probably didn't think that that would happen. But a lot of this has to do with just the smart business moves of Xbox being able to get more consoles out there, giving consumers an absolutely incredible product that people want. And you can see how it's all paying off in the numbers. But when it comes to actual chips, as you go through a console generation, stuff has always changed within these consoles. Nothing that actually changes the power or the performance, anything that we can see. But they're always looking to make sure that they are revising the chips, revising the consoles to be able to produce them at a cheaper price so that they can increase their overall profits. Now, this comes via Brad Sams. He was asked about a chip revision for the Series X chip. And it says here, Xbox is silently working on a revision of the Series X chip, which will be smaller and more power efficient. And specifically, here's exactly what he had to say.
Will R says, hey Brad, I heard soon that Microsoft is putting out a silent revision of the Series X where the chip will be made on TSMC's 6 node, and it might have a slightly cooler and power supply because of the improved chip. Is it true? PS Start 11 is awesome. Thank you for the Start 11. I believe this is true. Now, please don't run with headlines. I know that Microsoft was working on revisions of the chip. First off, let's take a step back here. Microsoft is always working on revisions of the hardware. You got to remember, while the console has been out 18 months, whatever we're at now, something like that, the console that Microsoft initially started building was signed off on probably 14 months, 12 months before it actually shipped. So in the world of technology, it's a dated design. And so as soon as Microsoft signs off on, okay, this is what we're going to market with, this is what's going to be mass produced, this is what's going on, every iteration after that is for the next generation. Now, are we going to see performance improvements? Are we going to see anything else? I do not believe so, but Microsoft is always working on making cooler, more efficient chips because that lowers the cost of production.
So, I mean, there you have it. It's exactly what they do every single generation. Nothing too exciting or crazy there, but they definitely are working on some sort of smaller chip that, hey, it will make it less to produce and it will make them more money in the long run. And I think overall stuff like that is going to play into the business decisions that they have to make. And chip priority, again, if they're able to get these manufacturers to work on these chips for them first, get them out to them first, not only are they going to be pushing out more consoles before their competition, they're going to be able to get these chips in their hands into the consoles and be making more money than their competition sooner than PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch, whatever, if they're going to be doing anything with their console going forward. We know the Switch is coming potentially to the end of its life cycle. Maybe they're going to be announcing a new Nintendo Switch sometime soon, and that's going to just completely add to this overall generation and the competition between those three consoles. That's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all of this stuff. What's your theory with Phil Spencer's shelves? What do you think is going to happen with the chip priority going forward? Do you like that Sonic controller? Are you excited for Kingdom Hearts 4? All that type of stuff. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you liked what you saw, you found it entertaining and informative, I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.